What's going on, everybody? It's your boy E-Man the Chosen here, and I'm back today with another video. So today we're going to be talking about my BONK DK build for update 44. I mean, we're not really using BONK on this build, but I still call it the BONK DK build because, you know, why not? But also too, guys, I still plan on releasing my other BONK builds once I feel they are perfected, but I feel pretty confident about this build. That's why, you know, I'm ready to release it. So yeah, so getting into some of my stat sheets here, some of my stats while I have my buffs up. So front bar, we have 28k resistances, 4k weapon and spell damage. Back bar, we have 32k resistance. My resistances do go up once some of my sets proc. I know recovery looks pretty low, but trust me, we have plenty of recovery. We are using the Atro Mundus Stone. Found the Atro Mundus Stone to be the best, and we are Vampire Stage 4, as I will get into why we use Stage 4 later on in the video. Alright, getting into the slottable items. For our food we are using the Arzarga's Red Frostguard food. I found this to be the best food for my playstyle. You could also use the Smoke Bear Hunch. That works as well with the stamina recovery, but personally I don't really think you really need the stamina recovery, especially with some of our sets. They kind of help with our stamp sustain. I found a lot more use out of having a mag recovery. Also, this food's a lot cheaper, so kind of get a bang for your buck. Now getting into the pots that we use regular tri-stat pots, you know, and then we also have to make sure that we have the stealth detect pots. I like using the immovable stealth detect pots just for those pesky night blades you're going to encounter. We also use the minor heroism pots to give you mag and stam. These ones are really nice because on this build pretty much all your sustain comes from using your ult, so it's really nice to get to your ults really fast, and we have extreme ult gen on this build. But yeah, let's get into the sets. Front bar, we are using the Essence Thief. We are using a Sharpened Maul with a Berserker enchant. One of my favorite sets in the game. Gives you nice flat damage, increases your damage done by 10%, and also restores 4k stam pretty much every 10 seconds. Drops a pull. On our back bar, we are using the Daedric Trickery, pretty much a staple set on DK. When you deal damage, you gain one of 5 major random buffs for 21 seconds. So you got Expedition, Protection, Mending, Heroism, and Vitality. Probably one of the best sets for DK as well. I'm using a Defending Sword and a Sturdy Shield max damage enchant. We also do use these Drain Mag Pots. I found the Drain Mag Pots on the back bar just to be the best in slot for recovery, especially if you're not running like a set like Rich Vitality. Gives you really great max sustain. Also adds a little pressure to your opponents, so it's really nice. For our monster set, we are using the Bloodspun, you know, pretty much a staple for DK as well. The Bloodspun and Daedric Trickery combo on DK is just so much fun and really powerful on DK. We're also pairing this with Nord, so we get so much ult gen, so it's really nice. We do have a reinforced trainee chest, and we have heavy shoulders. We are in 4 heavy, 3 medium. Make sure that you have your heavy pieces on your big pieces, such as like your head, chest, or shoulders, and then your medium on your small pieces, such as your waist or your hands. As far as our traits, we are mostly in pin. I do have 2 pieces of sturdy because I do like to block. As far as our jewelry, we do have the Satan Seducer Mythic, one of the best mythics in the game. Gives you a crap ton of damage through buffs like Major Berserk, Major Force, and Major Courage. Really nice buffs. And then we have Daedric Trickery jewelry and SSD jewelry. We do use 3 weapon and spell damage glyphs with a little bit of mag recovery, and I do use 3 swift. You could use infuse, but me personally, man, I play a lot of solo, and I feel like you do need the movement speed for solo play. Otherwise, you're just going to be getting zerged down. You can't get out of these zergs, so I like the swift. Also, to help you catch faster opponents as well. So getting into our skills, we are using the Molten Whip. This is the one that stacks weapon damage every time you use a Ardent Flame ability. Up to 3 stacks, gives you extra 300 weapon and spell damage, and also gives you a huge whip that increases your damage by 20%. Really nice spammable for the DK. Also splits the cost between mag and stam, so it makes it really cheap to use. Getting into the next skill, we have Noxious Breath. It's a really great dot. It's also a major breach, so it's like a 2-in-1. It's like a breach and a dot, and it's also a good spammable to, you know, build up your stacks of your whip. It's also really nice for taking night blades out of stealth. Next skill we have here is Igneous Weapons. Gives you your major brutality and sorcery buff. I really like this skill because in words it kind of helps you with your sustain, because you don't really have to recast the skill very often, you know, because it pretty much lasts like the duration of 3 other skills. Like even with, like, let's say you could use momentum, that only lasts 20 seconds, or you can go over to the mage's guild and put on entropy, and that only lasts 20 seconds as well. So like literally you use this one skill and it's like triple the duration or even more of the other, you know, brutality buff. So it kind of helps you sustain. You have venomous claw here. You're pretty much one of the most powerful dots in the game. Also applies the poison status effect, which is really nice, and deals extra damage the longer it lasts. Then you have Flames of Oblivion. This is going to give you your major crit buff, and it's also a good skill to use to build stacks for your Molten Whip. And I'm using Take Flight, one of my favorite skills on DK. Now you could use the other morph of Take Flight, which is the one that gives you the damage shield. It does cost a little bit more, it hits a little less, but I like this one because it hits pretty hard. Has a really nice tooltip, and it helps me like finish people off, because this build does lack a little bit in damage, just a little bit. But and you could also be true to the BONK and use Berserker Rage, but honestly on this build using BONK kind of hurts you more than it helps you. Like look at it, like it costs a lot more, hits a lot less, and you know, with the leap it's undodgeable. It's just a lot better to use. So, and alright, getting into our back bar skills. First skill we have here is Race Against Time. Pretty much gives you your snare removal and your movement speed buff. Also gives a little crit bonus as well. We're using Hardened Armor. This is your armor buff. Also gives you a nice little damage shield. I also like the extra damage this does when people attack you, because this can proc your back bar set without having to touch somebody. So sometimes you could be running away, and while you're on your back bar, you're triggering Digit Trickery. You're also triggering your mag drain pod, so you're getting nice resources back while just having this up. So it's just such a good skill. You have Resolving Vigor, gives you your just best heal over time in the game. Also gives you a nice little minor buff of your resistances. So this is my healing soul. This is my burst heal. I really like this skill over Coag because it gives you extra resources, and it gives you minor vitality, which is really nice. And minor vitality not only buffs your healing but also buffs your shield. So you use this and it increases the strength of your armor buff by a lot, like the shield part of it. So it's really nice. Then we're using Shattering Rocks. This is our CC, one of the best CCs in the game. You can't block it. Also, when the stun ends, they take damage and you get healed. So it's actually a really nice heal, and great for keeping the pressure up. Back bar ulti, we're using the Spell Wall, one of the best ultis in the game. One of the main reasons I use Sword and Board ult, and we get these extremely quickly. Kind of gets us pretty much like our get out of jail card. Like in most fights, when you know shit's going left, you block one of these and just move. Especially with all the Swift we have, like you can pretty much get in and out of every fight. So it's really nice, and I pretty much use this almost in every build. Alright, getting into the CP. We are using Focus Mending. Focus Mending is a must on DK. We're using Master at Arms, Deadly Aim, and Resilience. Now, Resilience is a flex spot. You could use Duelist Rebuff. Duelist Rebuff helps you against like dot builds, but the things I struggle with the most are Nightblades and getting ganked. So the Resilience really helps out with that, giving you extra crit resist. But yeah, you could definitely use, you know, Duelist Buff if you're struggling against dots, but we have enough healing to outheal a lot of dots builds. So I personally like the Resilience because it's really just burst that kills you. Red Tree, we're using Celerity, we're using Survival Instincts, Pain's Refugee, and Sustained by Suffering Only. CP that's a flex spot on this one will be Celerity. I know a lot of you guys play DK don't like to be fast and stuff like that. Some of you guys like to be a little slug, tanky slug, but I like to be fast on my builds, and it's just a preference for me. You could swap out Celerity for like a CP like Juggernaut, or if you like more health, you could go with something like Boundless Vitality. Those are, or you could do Fortified or Boundless Vitality. Those are the only two that I would recommend other CP traits. So yeah. Alright, so now what I want to do, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the rotation, about like how to use the build and how to like use the build effectively. Let me see if I can go over here and find some ads. So biggest thing I like to do is always start on your back bar. Always make sure you have the vigor going up and you have your armor buff up. What I like to do, always light attack in between every skill, to kind of proc your, you see the little ring around me, that is the Satan Seducer buff, so it's pretty much giving me 1 of 10 random major buffs and debuffs for the enemies. You can kind of track it by having the colors. I don't have the add-on that tracks it, but and if you're on console, you may not be able to track it as well, but if you can memorize the colors, then it'll probably help you the most. So, but yeah, and also make sure to light attack. You see a little green pool, that is the essence thief that I collect. That's the one that increases my damage and also gives me the stand back. That's pretty much how I sustain my stam. And if you see the stacks, if you guys see in the buff tracker, you see the stacks of the red, like the little red weapon damage symbol. It's like a little red face that like stacks up to 3. That is like the stacks of the my whip. So like the more I use ardent flame abilities, then you'll get like a big whip. Like you see that you can use your flame, or your you can use your flames of oblivion or your poison flame to kind of proc it, and that's when you kind of want to line up the combo. Like always, like light attack in between every skill, apply your dots, swap to your back bar option to apply your armor buffs, and use your fossilize. Remember, it can't be dodged and it can't be blocked, so really powerful CC. Vigor every now and then, and yeah, kind of like that. And it just does so much damage, man. It's actually really crazy, this build. And also too, we are Nord, like we get our ult so freaking quick, especially when we're in combat. We're getting Zerg down for real. Like we get our ult really quickly on this build. And I tried races like Breton, I've tried races like Imperial, like stuff like that to help sustain. But I actually found the most success using Nord on the build, and it also makes this build just so much fun because you get so much ult, like with Leap, and you get like you can move around with the sword and board ult. Man, it's such one of the most funnest builds I've used. And you see when I run around, also the reason I'm not using the stamp sustain pool is because I'm in stage 4, and with stage 4, like the cost of sprint is like reduced by 50%, and also after 3 seconds you do go invisible. So it's really nice, like get out of jail card, like you get your kills, or like you see a big Zerg that you can't take the fight, you can just get out of there, man. It's really nice, and that's why I like the stage 4, especially for solo play. Now if you play group play, you really don't need vamp really at all, or you can like just get away with vamp stage 3. But for solo play, man, I live by that stage 4, man. And the sustain like nerf is, I mean, you can definitely feel the sustain nerf, but it's definitely a way to get around it. So make sure you get all your skill, your passes. Only passes you don't need here is the health recovery. Honestly, with the build and like with the patch now, you don't really need health recovery. I'm also missing a lot of passes myself. I don't have all my skill points, but you definitely want to go ahead and pick up all your 2H passives and your sword and board passives as well. I do not run light armor at all, so get all your medium and heavy armor passives. Make sure you get your undaunted passes. Those make a huge difference as well with your resources. And yeah, make sure you pick up all your Nord passes as well, and your vamp passives. So yeah, but man, Nord is just such a fun race. Another thing I want to mention too is make sure you pick up your medicinal use. Like, I can't stress enough how much this helps with your recovery, especially like getting the lingering effects from your pots, stuff like that. Also makes your stealth attack pots last longer. So but yeah, man, I can't stress enough how much I'm liking Nord on this build. It's just so much fun dropping your ults like over and over again, like spammables, like especially like when you're in a 1vx. So but all right, that's gonna do it for the video. Now I'm gonna let some of these clips play out for the gameplay. You guys can see this build in action. Make sure if you guys enjoy the content, you like and subscribe to the video. And all right guys, I will see you on the next one. Peace.